you've ever asked yourself, how can I get the swing and the golf game that I've always imagined without trying every tip, every training aid, watching every video after video on social media, then this podcast is for you. Welcome. I'm Daniel Guest, and welcome to the IMAGEN Golf Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by IMAGEN Golf and PXG. All right, Imagination. I am so excited. I have a long time, almost like a man crush, if I can say that. Brixton Albert. Brixton is the founder and CEO of Performance Golf, which used to be Performance Golf Zone. Is that right?
Yeah, it used to be Performance Golf Zone. Now it's Performance Golf. Yep.
Yeah. And what a story, man. First of all, thanks for doing this. But in doing some research on I've been following you forever. I got a couple of your clubs and just been, a long time follower, man. But I had no idea your story was so amazing, man. You're introverted a little bit by design, so you say. Is that really true?
I mean, I was a late bloomer. I would say naturally I'm an introvert, but I kind of forced myself over time to become extroverted.
Right.
I think one of my high school social accomplishments was asking a girl out to the prom via instant messenger. But then I was just forced to get out of my comfort zone. So I went from this introverted kid to just doing all these crazy social experiments. And I think I became extroverted, but deep down, I'm probably an introvert.
That's hysterical. I saw you on a talent show doing the old Tiger Shuffle with juggling golf balls and stuff. That you can't be too introverted if you're doing that.
Well, I don't know. It's always funny. Like I always felt a little more uncomfortable in small groups. But if you put me in front of like a 500 people, for some reason I felt comfortable. And I think most people are the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But
that's hysterical,
that's kind
man.
of, yeah, definitely.
And you credit like the Tiger era for your golf fanatical, fanaticism, I should say. Is that true to this day? Like, do you look back and say, hey, you know what, that Tiger era really got me going?
Yeah, like I think my story is simple. My grandparents got me a set of clubs when I was 5 years old, and that was in 1990, let's just say 2. I went to one golf camp a year, so golf was like, I played every sport. Golf was just kind of blah. I didn't really have like much of an interest. I went to this thing, but then I saw Tiger win the Masters in 1997, and the light bulb just went off. I don't know how I was in front of a TV that day, but it was like, I need to get good at this. I need to find a way. And I'm all in on golf. And, from 10 on, I started practicing golf 10 hours a day. And I think Tiger just made it cool. It's funny, like the first couple years I started playing golf, like kids made fun of me because it didn't really take off yet. But then come like early 2000s, all those kids that were making fun of me were asking me for lessons. And that's kind of how my golf journey started.
Yeah, it's so true, man. I'm way older than you. I'm 60. I think you're 38, man. And when I played golf, it was not cool, right? I mean,
No.
and girls were not, watching us play golf, and we would we had to find another sport if we wanted to be popular because golf was not it at all. Our golf teams were small. There was people trying out, but like I went to high school in Westchester, Pennsylvania, man. So our golf team was nothing to write home about. And we didn't have like 20, 30 kids, trying out for the golf team.
I would take my clubs and put them behind the principal's desk in middle school every day. Because then after school, I walked to this green and worked on my short game for 3 hours. Then my dad picked me up on his way home, and kids would make fun of me. I mean, it was like, what are you doing? But then 2 years later, the Tiger effect, I think, took off. And I can imagine in your time, it definitely wasn't cool,
No, man, not at all. Not at all, man. You decided at that early age, like, hey, you wanted to do this, and you had like everyone that knows you. One of the first things I read about you, and I actually asked Hank Haney about you, like, what is the guy really like? They all talk about your work ethic. Did you always have this strong desire to be the best and have this incredible work ethic? I think you even credited your grandfather at some point.
Yeah. I would say when I was a young kid, I always started slow. Like everything I did, like whenever I first started, I was like bottom of the pack. I mean, going back to like a speech impediment to whatever I started ending in school, I was like that last kid that would always pick it up, But for some reason, when I started slow, I always had this vision of, maybe I can get really good at this. And I always challenged timelines. Like someone would say, oh, it takes 3 years to do this. And I was like, I'm not very good, but why can't I find a way to do this in 4 months? Like doing it in 3 years doesn't sound exciting to me. So I would say from a young age, I became obsessed over how do you go from where you are to making a breakthrough? Like, I would say my whole life, the answer that I searched for was when Tom Brady was in high school, did he know he was going to go from where he was to where he went? Did he know? Did he have a feeling? How did he do that? What was the difference between him and Ryan Leaf? And I just obsessed over that and ran so many experiments over the years. And a lot of that was working my butt off to try to make up ground on these people that were way, in front of me. So I would say a lot of that is where it came from. Being
Yeah.
bottom and trying to figure out a way to turn some heads and be like, where'd this guy come from?
Yeah, the Tom Brady thing is a great analogy. I mean, I think if you asked Tom Brady, he'd probably tell you he didn't know it all along.
Yeah.
But he had this certain confidence slash arrogance about him. That famous story where he tells Robert Kraft, if you see the videos of Tom Brady, he's not buffed. He's kind of mushy, if you would, and he's
Yeah.
slow, and you know, and he tells Robert Kraft that it's the best decision he ever made. I think
Yeah.
that's and then lives up to it. Just amazing. Um, and
The
so you
chip on
you
your shoulder grows, like when you're a late bloomer and you start to get momentum, it's kind of like, I'll give you an example. It's like that team in basketball that's the big time underdog. And then the first quarter, they start getting that confidence that grows. And when you stay consistent with that for so many years, you start to get this chip where you're out there pursuing something that's almost greater than yourself. And I think that's what Tom Brady had. He was going for something that was bigger than him and he loved it. Like, he just loved ball. Like, if you love what you're doing, you can also make up a lot of ground because you can practice all day and it doesn't feel like you're out there all day.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I look back in my life. I had a pretty successful corporate career,
Mm.
but I never really loved my corporate jobs. I mean, I like what I did, right? I would never do something
Yeah.
just for the cash, and I was very fortunate, made a lot of cash. But the golf business for me is just has come so easy for me because, to your
Mm.
point, it's that old adage, right? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and I always heard that, Brixton, but I never really took it to heart because I didn't have the opportunity to do so. So
Totally.
I'm living that. I'm living that now, man. Every day, I put in the same amount of hours, if not more, being a business owner. 12, 15-hour days. It doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
And I look at my lesson tee in the beginning, or excuse me, beginning of the week, or in a Wednesday or Thursday, and it's got 10 people on it, and I'm never like, oh my god, man, how am I going to get this done?
Ernie, I love that. And I heard a quote when I was a kid from Ernie Els. Ernie Els once said his goal in life was to find a job he liked so much the night before working, he couldn't sleep. So as a kid, I was like, hey, I want to play in the PGA Tour. The
Yeah,
night before the Masters, I mean, I'm not going to be, sleep might be a little difficult, but obviously I never played professional golf. I know you were trying to play professional golf. It's very
yeah,
hard, but I kind of found that now with what I do. I tell people I wake up in the morning, I jump out of bed 8 inches. If the average person saw me get out of my bed every morning, it'd probably piss them off a little bit because I'm fired up. Like, I'm ready to attack the day every single day. And that's always been one of my goals. Like, find something you love so much for the night before. You're not sleeping. You're
yeah.
you're ready for the next day. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and we're not even talking like fake it till you make it kind of stuff, right? That's something totally different. That's when you really don't even have the belief. You're going through the motions and you're hoping that your efforts actually produce, right? We're
Mm.
talking about that inner desire, and um, it's a great segue. I mean, for those that don't know you just don't just bounce out of bed naturally. I mean, you exercise on a daily basis. I saw a
Yeah.
video of you where if a ride in your car is longer than 5 minutes, man, you're not driving anymore. You're having someone else drive you.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
No.
Have you always been like this? Like, a pet peeve of mine has always been wasted time. Don't waste my time. I hate wasting people's time. Where did that come from?
Well, a part of this quest ever since I've been, let's just say 4 years old has been, hey, if I'm starting at the bottom and I want to try to get, you know, to be really, really good at something, I'm going to need to take a different path. I'm going to need to be willing to push the envelope. Everyone goes right. I'm going to test going left. And, a lot of iteration along the way, what works, what doesn't work. But I would say a lot of it comes from, I got to think different. I got to maximize every inch on the field to try to find a way to reach my full potential. So, part of that is time efficiency. How can
Right.
I look at every part in the day to be a little more efficient to kind of get to my North Star and my end goal? So I would say that's kind of where it came from over the
That's
years.
awesome, man. I hope to be in that situation soon because I'm tired of driving, man. I get in my
I would
Tesla and let it drive all the way around anytime.
Okay, well, that's nice. And I tell people, like, a lot of times people have ideas in their head for what they want to do. but they don't commit to the experiment long enough. And I tell people,
Mm.
like, if you want to get more efficient, why don't you just take an Uber everywhere for the next week? See how it lowers your stress. Use that time in the car to build towards one of your most important goals. Then at the end of a week, assess what you thought. Most times people try and experiment for like a quarter of a day. And I'm like, dude, give it a week, see what happens, and then adapt from there. So that's kind of
Yeah,
my thought.
it's awesome. It's a great set. We talk about it every day in our instruction, man. And like people, a lot of golfers, amateur golfers, they give up right on the cusp of that
Yeah.
breakthrough, right? And they're coming over the top their entire life. They're slicing their entire life. And we're just about ready to get that ball to turn over. And they're like, you know what? It's not going as far as I normally do. I'm going to go right back. I'm like, no, no, no. Just give it a few more shots, man. Trust me.
People
Um,
don't commit to the experiments long enough, in my
Yeah, for
opinion.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Your rise has not been without adversity. I mean, you started the company, you picked an instructor, right? And you kind of, I envision it. I don't know this to be a fact, but I envision it almost like back of the napkin kind of stuff, right? You're thinking about doing this, and you
Yeah.
got some sales success behind you. You pick an instructor. You start to have some success. You write some videos, and you produce some videos, and the instructor passes, right? 2 years into it, right? I mean, that had to be crazy.
Yeah. Well, you're really doing a good job. Like you've done your research. I feel like what I would love working with you as a coach because you come incredibly prepared. So, I think that's one of your best attributes. I really respect people that come to the table prepared. But yeah, I mean, like long story short, Daniel, though, when I started this business, I started with an instructor who was a really good coach. He had a really unique story. He's actually one of the best golf coaches in the world now. I'm not going to name his name, but we were trying to launch this. Okay. And we just couldn't come to a relationship. So I built the business for 1 full year with him. Okay. We got this off the ground. I didn't make any profit yet. I put $120,000 of my own money into this, but I stole a little bit of success. But
Right.
unfortunately, we couldn't make the business relationship work. So I went, basically 30 miles down the turnpike. And then I realized, I went the wrong way. I got to turn all the way back 30 miles. And then I found another instructor, a guy in Pennsylvania who I did the whole thing with him the next year. Very nice gentleman, but then unfortunately passed away. So the first 2 years definitely was like a start, stop type of thing. So that was a little frustrating that I wasted that time, but I also learned a lot and I realized the golf market had a lot of potential. So it wasn't all a waste, but it was definitely, some road
Yeah.
bumps the first
Yeah.
2 years. Yeah.
Stops and starts almost. I read
Well,
also that, like me, like before I became an official golf, or I wanted to be
mm,
this golf instructor, but I wasn't really sure. So I went on this
mm,
kind of road tour. I took like I went to every academy you could ever imagine.
mm.
David Ledbetter. I went to Hank. I went to every academy. I probably spent $50,000 of my money that my wife doesn't know about. Right. And but one thing I noticed immediately, and by the way, the goal is to be so well-rounded and to know everything I could ever know about golf and then start my
Mm,
own academy, right? And just the opposite happened. I realized that everybody taught stuff differently, that there was no universal, really any language. Everybody had their own take on everything. And that was, for me, that was when the light bulb went off with Imagine Golf. Like, hey, look, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way. I've been a corporate trainer in my life before. There's got to be a way where we can take the way people learn and, oh, by the
mm.
way, teach them golf as well. And that's the way we start. We put this golf better guarantee, and similar to you, not as much as you, right? Everything
Mhm.
started going up and to the right. And that's where we've built our business on. You similarly, almost like cracked the code. Like the timing was good. Right? You pair up with Eric, right? Eric Regano
Yeah.
out at another Pennsylvania guy,
Yeah, Eric
and
Hayden.
right, and he had, if I remember his story, he had put like, I don't know, 50, 60, whatever the number was, videos up, and they weren't really doing that well. And he really was,
Mhm.
talk about close to not to continuing on. He was close to just going back to doing his regular teaching, if you would. And then you two get together. Tell us how that happened.
Yeah, and again, just to kinda give you a compliment there, I think there's a little lesson you hit on. I think when you start something, it's great to learn from a lot of people. You often see combinations and different ways people do it. Like, you might have seen how David taught someone to trick their brain to learn this swing concept and how this guy does it, and just having that bank of ways to help people back into and get the results, I think, is really key. So I think that's cool that you went out and did that and, like, turned all those stones because you probably learned a lot and saw some
Oh
trends
man,
along the way.
100%.
But yeah, with Eric, long story short, I started the business, I stopped, I started, I stopped. So I basically realized I needed to find a couple golf instructors because someone might want to learn from a 30-year-old guy like Eric at the time. Some might want to learn from a 65-year-old guy. They might just trust that guy a little bit more. A female maybe wants to learn from a female. So I said, let's
Yeah.
find a couple instructors so we can pair people up with kind of who they can resonate with. But I just saw this seed of greatness in Eric. Sometimes you see someone and you're like, you know what? He's not doing well. He's not seeing the results in the mirror yet, but this is a stock I would buy every single day because this
Right.
stock is gonna blow up. And, I think our relationship mutually benefited each other where we created a course. The course did well. It got Eric a lot of great exposure. And Eric also put in a lot of work on his end, and he's probably one of the most successful kind of online coaches now. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's how that started basically.
Yeah, he's absolutely killing it, right? I mean, absolutely killing it. And then you added like almost like a whole stable of coaches.
Mhm.
You brought Hank Haney on. The
Mm,
story about Chris Como is hysterical, where he's already set up, and you reach out to the wife and say, "Hey, let's get together." That is absolutely hysterical.
mm.
And actually, it wasn't Chris Como. I'm sorry,
Mar
it was
Martin Chuck.
Martin
Martin Chuck.
Chuck. Yeah, my bad,
Yeah,
my bad. And
yeah.
when you decide when you bring someone on, like, are you bringing them on to because they have this like, do they pitch you? I'm sure you get pitched all the
Mm.
time, like, "Hey, I got this great idea for a
No.
one shot slice fix." Probably doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think early on it was similar to you. It's turning a lot of stones. I think what I found, Daniel, is I think there's a lot of like pretty good golf teachers out there, but I think there are some that are really elite. And I kind of learned this a little bit in my own quest when I was trying to get good at golf growing up. I had some decent instructors growing up, but I found there are some that are just at a next level. Like they can spot that one thing in your swing where if you fix it, it fixes three things at once, where maybe someone else had me working on something that was off in my swing, but it wasn't really producing the results or helping me get to where I wanted to go. So I saw with the right instruction, you can actually get better a lot faster than you think. And, I traveled all over as a kid trying to find those and kind of the same with PG. Like I really wanted to find a couple good instructors that were elite at communicating and helping people get results. So it was a lot of me turning stones, driving around, taking lessons from these guys, kind of getting to know them, seeing if we were a good fit. And, I was fortunate to find a couple good ones. And once you find one good one, they kind of
Right.
start to come to you a little bit. It gets a little bit easier, but that's kind of how that process played out initially.
Yeah, so you get this stable of instructors, things are going, you're cracking the code, if you would, on instruction. Then you decide to get in the equipment business, basically.
Hmm.
I'm paraphrasing. Is it true that that started with like at Hank Haney's house out in Arizona, where you pick up a wedge and you're like, "Hey, man, this is amazing." Is that a true story?
Um, yeah, well, that was how we created one of the products. Okay,
Got it.
so, I was at Hank's house and he goes, "Go back in the back room. I got some of Tiger's old wedges." And, they're like the old Nike wedges with the TW. And I start chipping with it. And, I'm like, this wedge is freaking incredible. And then Hank tells me this story. Well, this guy made it that put some secret stuff in it. Then I tracked that guy down and he helped me create our own wedge. But long story short, when I first started the club business, I was watching, I think it was April of 2022. Okay, so we're, less than 4 years ago. I'm watching Scotty Scheffler win the first Masters Sunday. I'm in my house with Erica Gorno, and this training aid just clicked in my mind of like, if we could improve someone's club face control and also help them get some forward shuffling, that would solve the problem
A,
for a lot of golfers.
a lot.
Like for some reason, like the light bulb just went off. The problem was I didn't know anything about manufacturing clubs. So I really spent the next year just networking, researching, flying to China, trying to figure all this out. Then we finally launched a training aid. Um, so yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, but that's kind of how it started. Like on my couch, Masters Sunday, idea clicks. Took me a full year to figure it out. Then we finally launched it. And that first month we launched it, kind of a crazy story, but we sold over $4 million worth of that training aid. So it did take off right away. We found the right sweet spot in the market, but it was an interesting first year to figure it all out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then you started getting into actual clubs, right? I remember the 359 or 357, I think it was back
Hmm.
in the day, and then a driver, pretty much driver from the deck kind of thing,
Yep.
and a putter. I remember the putter. Is this where PG is going? Is it? Do you see different lines? If you would, you have the instruction, you have the equipment. Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I think the big goal at PG is we want to meet people where they're at. Like I think golfers are all at different points. Like I'll give you an example. Maybe I'm a COVID golfer. I'm a little shy. I don't want to take a lesson. I kind of want to learn a little bit. So let's give you a step-by-step way to like fix your biggest miss. Maybe I'm that 68-year-old guy in the villages that retired that I'm like, I don't think videos can help me. I want to go to an in-person experience. I would love to spend 2 days with a Hank Haney to do an intensive, to fix my root swing flow and have a game plan on how I can get better. Or maybe I'm the 44-year-old dad that's like, I love golf. I can only play once a month with my buddies. I don't have time to practice, so I don't think I can get better. I just want to have a driver that's a little more forgiving. So when I play with my boys once a month, I can have fun. So our goal at PG is how can we meet people where they're at and get them that first win? Start to like build their belief a little bit. But then from there, it all feeds into a system where it's like, let's now get smart. Let's not jump around. Let's not try 50 million tips on YouTube. Let's go through more of a step-by-step way to learn that's tailored to you to help you reach your full potential. So that's kind of the model at a high level.
Yeah, and it's almost it dovetails with the 1% a day, right? You give them
Yeah,
that tool, and they can definitely start seeing, right from the jump. It's a little different. They feel different with it. They have a little bit more confidence. Before you know it, they're buying into it, and they're playing better golf.
totally.
What's your favorite golf book, man?
Man, favorite golf book. Gosh. Um, I read Butch Harmon's recently. I'm forgetting the title of it. There were just so many nuggets in that book. It's the book that he wrote. Okay, Son of a Butch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All
I
right,
just
that's
thought that
awesome.
I thought there were a lot in there. I mean, I've read a bunch of Harvey Pennick's books. I mean, my favorite golf movie was I love Bagger Vance. I watch that like
Right.
whenever every year I play 5 golf tournaments now. And before my first tournament, I turn on Bagger Vance like 2 nights before just for some inspiration. I read that book, but how about you?
You know what? It's so funny. I have the golfing machine here, right? That is, on
Okay.
my desk in every one of our facilities. I love that just because and it sounds ridiculous. The simplicity of it. It's very data centric. It's very like, hey, if you do this, you get
Mm,
X results. So I like things like that. I think probably the Five Fundamentals, right? By Ben
mm,
Hogan was the most. It was like the only book I have big ADHD issues, and I never read a
yeah.
book cover to cover until my parents gave me that book, and I probably read it like
Mm.
until the pages came out. So, I'm a big audio guy now. I listen to a ton of audiobooks now. I try to do at least one or two a month, man.
Oh, I
Um,
love that. That's awesome.
yeah. Hey, AI. I'm sure you
Mm,
got some plans, with AI. Like, how do you see AI? Let's just pick one topic, like golf instruction. There's a lot at 60 years old. There's a lot of my peers that think it's going to, run them out of their jobs. I don't see it that way. I don't think AI in
yeah.
my lifetime anyway is going to teach somebody or help them implement what the changes they need to do. So we see it as a positive here at Imagine Golf. What say
Mm.
you?
Um, yeah, I think the big thing with AI that I see is like, I think at the core, really, my belief is every golfer has about 5 or 6 things wrong with their swing. I mean, every golfer, you could probably pick out things that are wrong. I think the key is gonna be how can AI help you identify that one lead domino? Because I've found in golf, if you work on your number one priority, you can make the whole swing simpler. But if you work on the fifth thing, it's easy just to kind of spin your wheels. And I've often found if you work on your fifth swing flaw, it manipulates another variable in your swing that can maybe make your swing look better, but kind of throw off the whole thing. So my thought with AI is, can the models get smart enough, and this is what we're building towards, to map out your 5 swing flaws, but you obviously can't work on all 5 at once. How can you work on that one thing that's going to fix 2 or 3 other things? So that's where I'm going with AI. I also see AI being able to tailor the instruction more. Like what's your learning style? Are you a visual learner? Are you a mechanical learner? Hey, you got a short torso, but you have long arms. How can we help you get your swing matched up better for your body type? So I would say it's a combination of understanding your body type, your limitations, your learning style, but then also getting you to work on the right thing. And that's kind of the code we're trying to crack at PG. How can we take all of that to help golfers learn this game in a smarter way? Um, that's where I see it going.
Yeah, I mean, you just described Hank Haney's, third book, right? The Big Miss, right? Only work on the big thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's it, right? Work on that first, fix that first. You'll have a new look and feel of your swing, and to your point, you'll have something that's more important now to work on that probably wasn't even in your, in your thought process before, man. So,
I think I'm a big believer in people set too many goals. People work on too many things.
right.
And I'm a believer if you can find the one thing in your life, like one thing, like you should have one thing in your life that you're just going to get really good at because that should solve two or three others. And I think people often focus on too much. They chase four rabbits at once. They end up never catching any of them. And then they keep looking for the next silver bullet. So I'm a big believer in one thing.
Yeah. Hey, you're a avid golfer yourself, scratch golfer. Do you
Yeah.
think that that helps the business, or do you think you were gonna be successful, like, a la the Tom Brady analogy? Like, Tom knew he was gonna
Mm,
be successful, it just happened to be football, right?
mm.
Do you think you would've been that successful if you picked, the software business or anything like that?
Um, yeah, I think that's a good question. Well, interesting enough, for 3 years, I had the idea to start the golf business, but I didn't start it, Daniel, because I was like, you know what? I'm not watching videos online. Like I was taking in-person lessons. I wasn't really buying golf clubs when I started this in my 20s. I had, my college gave me clubs and stuff like that. I was fortunate for my parents to help me out a little bit. So I'm like, man, I'm not really buying golf stuff. Should I start a golf business? So I think being good at golf almost hurt me at first. But then what I realized was I'm not the customer. The
Mhm.
customer at first was a lot of like 50-year-old guys that were spending a lot of money on golf, that were buying new clubs, that were addicted to trying to get better. So I would say at first it hurt me, but I would say now it, has probably helped because I've spent so much of my own time trying to crack the code on this didn't work, this did work, trying to get better, racking my brain every day. What can I do to find a slight edge to reach my full potential? So I've kind of taken a lot of those learnings over the years and kind of built them into the platform. So I would say it went from hurting me to maybe over time kinda helping me a little bit,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it makes a lot of sense. I'm, similar on a smaller scale, like the whole virtual lesson thing. In Pennsylvania here, we were shut down during COVID, open during COVID,
Mm,
shut down, and that really had a negative effect on our business, and so much so customers started to get upset, and I put a simulator in my garage just telling my wife, "Hey, look, when this ends, we'll take it out," and 6 years later, it's still there, but the
yeah,
point was is that, look, we gotta be able to, um I was even though I wouldn't have taken a virtual lesson 5 years ago, right? I didn't see the value in it. I thought it was like a passing fad, if you would. But I
mm,
had a similar realization that, look, I'm not the customer, right? And
yeah.
if it's okay with them and they wanna see me do a lesson from a hotel room, that's fine by me. And today we do lessons in 7 countries. So I never would have thought that, in a million years, man.
I see a lot of people limit themselves based on their own hypothesis, but often their own hypothesis isn't how their target audience thinks. Like, they're like, "Oh, I don't like that, so I wouldn't do that." But they don't dig it deep enough to feel like, "You know what? My customer actually does that. Okay, I don't like it, but I gotta give my customer kinda what they want or what they need." So, times change, and I can see that kind of where your head's at there.
Awesome. All right, man, last question. What are you working on in your game, your personal game?
So again, it's kind of the root flaw. Like my tendency and my swing is to get a little bit short, to get a little bit like my swing gets a little bit short, and I'm trying to lay the club off a little bit more. And while I'm laying it off in my swing, flow a little bit to the left because it essentially just helps shallow the club out for me and gives me a little bit more time. So that's kind of my big intention. I'm trying to put all my intention in my swing into from like here to here at the top. And when I get those things working well, it helps. I don't play a lot of golf. I work a lot now. But when I do practice, I try to practice mindfully. It's like if I got 12 balls to hit today, let's make these 12 balls count type of a deal. But yeah, I'm just trying to work on that root flaw to, fix three or four other things in my swing.
And I would guess that, and that's great stuff, man. I would guess that would be your suggestion to the average golfer, right? Work on your big miss, right?
Yeah.
And purposeful practice. To your point, you got 12 balls, make them count. Don't be the guy that walks into a driving range with one driver and a bucket full of 200 golf balls, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to get that much out of that practice than you would out of hitting 20 purposeful drives.
It's people in golf, they just don't know how to practice. I'm a big believer less is more. Golf's the one game where if you go practice wrong, you're basically like digging a hole that you're gonna have to dig yourself out of. You're almost better off not even going, right? You should just stay home, stay
Yeah.
home, you know? So I'm a big believer in, hey, how can you work on the right thing? How can you make every ball count? And then how can you also control what you can control? And I think my example there would be, I'm never going to hit my driver 340, but why can't I have an elite short game?
Mm.
Why can't I have one of the world's best mental games? There's no reason why my mental game can't be better than Scotty Scheffler's. But I'm never going to have his ball striking, but I can control my mindset and I can say, why not have the world's best mental game? So I'm a big believer in own what you can control and get elite at those things and take those things personally.
Yeah, man, well said. We could have even started the podcast with that and ended with that. It might be one of my highest rated podcasts.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I mean, I think it's a big thing. It's like, so many people focus on what's out of their control. Why
Yeah,
not just get elite? Like, I'm going to be elite at execution. I'm going to be elite at this, that, like these things. Get good at those and then kind of see where you go and then assess where other people just focus on what they can't control. They waste a lot of mental energy and that takes you nowhere at the end of the day.
yeah, and you could even just be elite at your emotions. I see so many golfers that just can't even channel their emotions. They hit a bad shot or two, and that ruins the back nine for them, or even ruins the round. And if you could just live shot to shot, right? That would be a really good start.
You're
Well,
gonna be
Brixton,
ahead of so many people. It's funny, I was recently just kind of like thinking, and I have like 2 30-minute think sessions a week where I just lock myself in a room, no phone, nothing, just to kind of ideate. And the idea that reached one of the ideas that popped out was strive to be elite at mastering your emotions.
mm,
Like, what if that was just your one aim in life? Like, think of how that could create so much separation compared to the masses. You can control that. I can't control being the strongest, the biggest, the best, but I can control that. So I'm fully with you there.
yeah. Well, hopefully my wife doesn't listen to that piece because I certainly haven't mastered that yet. So I'm still working on that piece.
That's funny, man. That's so funny.
Well, Brixton, thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy. When you're coming through to Philadelphia, man, look me up, man. I got a great course right here. We could play Aronimink. We got plenty
Oh
of
my
courses
goodness.
around here.
There's
So
so much good golf up there. I live in Florida now. I'm an out-of-state member at Lancaster Country Club, which is I'm like
yeah,
honored to be a member there. I grew up caddying out there, and man, you're blessed because you have by far the area you're in is the golf mecca of the United States. There's so many good courses, so I might take you up on that.
all right, Brixton. Well, thank you again,
All right.
everyone. It's Brixton Albert, CEO and founder of Performance Golf. Thanks again for doing this, Brixton. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.
All right, then. That's today's podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the follow button wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check out our site, imagengolf.com. Check out our YouTube page at Imagine Golf, and we're on all the social media platforms. I'm the same at Imagine Golf. And here's to getting you the swing and the game that you've always imagined.